Greetings, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, double honours to the elders of GMS, double honours to all the different camps out there doing the work according to the words of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, the Holy Scriptures, and the leadership of GMS camps out there doing all their stuff, and all different camps out there doing their work according to the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, not according to your own words. All praises and double honours, like I said again, to the elders of GMS, our teachers, through the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Alright, today we're going to talk about Babylon. We're going to discuss the meaning of the word Babylon, who the Bible speaks of, or it speaks of this place called Babylon. We're also going to look at the etymology of the word Babylon and all the prophecies, well, not all of the prophecies, because believe me when I tell you, there are hundreds of prophecies pertaining to Babylon in the Bible, but we're going to go through some major prophecies pertaining to Babylon and who we think Babylon is today. So, where does the word Babylon come from? It comes from the Latin word Babel, which means confusion, to mix. And then that Latin word comes from the Hebrew word Balal, which means the same thing, confusion. Yeah? Confusing, mixing. That's where it comes from. So that's where the word Babylon comes from, basically. Balal. Babel also goes back to what? The Tower of Babel that Nimrod was building, believing that he could reach into heavens, which was destroyed. And that's where we got the word Babel from, confusion, to mixing, because this is what Nimrod did. Nimrod had caused confusion and was mixing. So those are the etymology of the word Babylon and where it comes from. And these things you can look up yourself simply in a lexicon and Oxford Dictionary and so forth and find out for yourselves. So it means confusion, mixing. Yeah. It also, Babylon was also a place. It was also a nation, because you had the Babylonians who came from a place called Babylon, which is in what we know today as modern day Iraq. Yeah? So we're going to look at some scriptures pertaining to Babylon regarding what the prophecies were saying and talking about when it was condemning this place for total destruction. Yeah? So we're going to start with Isaiah. So we've got Isaiah chapter 63 verse 1. Yeah? He says, who is this that cometh from Edom? Edom, as we know, are the Edomites. Yeah? The Edomites are the descendants of Esau, who, once again, just quickly go over this shortly, are the Caucasians, are your Europeans, are what you call your so-called white people of today. They are the Edomites. Esau is their forefather. Bozrah used to be the capital of the actual place called Edom. Yeah, Edom existed where? To north-south, to the south of Israel during biblical times. Yeah? So this is where these people come from, yeah? This is where the Edomites come from, that's where they live. They lived up in the rocks in the mountains. Hence why they have the name Caucasians, because they came out of the Caucasus Mountains. It was a place where they lived in thousands of years after they were living in Edom. They lived in the Caucasus Mountains, which go all the way through Turkey, Ukraine, and so forth, through the Eastern European area, as you know. Anyway, who is this that cometh from Edom, with dyed garments from Bozrah? This that is glorious in his apparel, travelling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. So who is this scripture speaking about? It's speaking of Yahweh Shai. And it's what? It's a prophecy. Because this is pertaining to a prophecy of Yahweh Shai's second coming. Right? So it says, verse 2, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? So he's saying, so the vision that Isaiah got of Yahweh Shai was him in his perfectly white garments coming to where? To Edom. As I said to you before, Edomites were a people, were a nation before they were a country. So he was coming to bring judgment to Edom, to the Edomites. Yeah? So this is a vision that he sees him. So he sees him in his apparel, and he's describing it to someone who's treading in a grapes in a wine vat, that's treading grapes basically to make wine. Because they were splashed with all of the blood from the red grapes, if it's red wine they're making and so forth. That's what will happen to their garments. So he says here in verse 2, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in a wine vat. So he's comparing his garments to a man who is actually treading wine. As you know, they tread wine, they have big barrels, wooden barrels, they have grapes in there, and they tread it to get all the juice out of the grapes to ferment and to make the wine. Verse 3. So Isaiah chapter 63, verse 3 now. It says, I have trodden the winepress alone. This is the Yahushai. And of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury. And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments. And I will stain all my remnant, which is his clothes. Yeah? For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. So this is a vision that the prophet Isaiah has had of Yahushai, the Son of the Most High. And in that vision, Yahushai is saying to Isaiah, when Isaiah is asked the question, saying, who is that's coming from Edom? Yeah? With dyed garments from Bozrah. Because that's what it seemed to him from a distance, basically. Someone in dyed garments from Bozrah. This that is glorious in his apparel, and he realizes who it is. Traveling in the greatness of his strength, Yahushua with his angels, in the chariots, that I that speak in righteousness mighty to save, which is Yahushua. He speaks in righteousness, and he's come here for what? Salvation. Salvation for what? For the Israelites. Okay. Verse 2, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in wine fat? So he's making a comparison to Yahushua's garments, someone that's treading in the wine fat. Verse 3, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. So Yahushua said, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. So he, Yahushua, has brought the judgment to his people in his chariots with the angels, and he says here, and of the people there was none with me. Yeah? So those are, when it speaks of the people, it's speaking of the so-called, the Israelites here that are here on earth right now, that have not been beamed up in the chariots yet. Yeah? These are the ones that are still here, where the hedge has been put up. These are the 1/3 basically, yeah, which make up part of the elect, but I'm not the elect of the 144,000, because the 144,000 are the ones that are going to be traveling with Yahweh, Yahushai, and the angels to fight against the nations. While the rest of the 1/3 will be here to witness it, to bear witness to it, but will be protected, those that are going to receive salvation. So when he says here, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger. This is Yahushua, who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ. He says, I will tread them in my anger and trample them in my fury, he says. He says, I will trample them in my fury. So this is a prophecy of his second coming. He says, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments. So he's specifically telling you that once he's brought this judgment to these people and the wars to Edom, their blood shall be sprinkled on my garments, for the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. So the year of his redeemed is his second coming. So from there we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 34. So you can have an understanding of what that was meant, what was meant there. We're going to go to Isaiah chapter 34, verse 1. It says, come near ye nations to hear and hearken. Yeah? Ye people, let the earth hear and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Most High is upon all nations. It's upon all nations. And this just isn't about Edom. Please remember this. Edom is going to get the, Edom is going to get the ultimate judgment, the penultimate judgment. because Edom controls all these other nations. But all these other nations that are allies with Edom and the Edomites are going to receive their judgment alongside them. But as the leader, as the Luciferian, the bearer of light, as the Illuminati, the ones that are bearing light to the other nations, saying this is the way to go. And when I say bearing light, they're bearing light into darkness. Edom is the leader. So when it says here, this is Isaiah chapter 34 verse 2. For the indignation of the Most High is upon all nations. Yeah? And his fury is upon all their armies. Because the Most High is going to draw these people to him. He's going to draw them to a place called the Valley of Jehoshaphat. All the nations, which is where? In the Middle East. Where is Jehoshaphat? In Israel. Yeah? So this is exactly where he's going to draw them to, yeah? He says, and his fury is upon all their armies. He has utterly destroyed them. He has delivered them to the slaughter. But this is a prophecy. And this is what's going to befall them when they come. Because, like I said, these Edomites are a proud people. And when you think of, I said this before, when you have a nation of people that during times of conflict and times of war, they were able to drop 2 atomic bombs, atom bombs, the most lethalest weapon of that time, on another nation who they was at war with. The first bomb they dropped was supposedly to put an end to the war. The second one was for fun, because after the first bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, they had no reason to drop the second bomb, but they did it because they was carrying a load and they did not want to bring it back without testing both bombs on this nation. So when you have a nation that can do that to another nation, and then you forward 60 years, that same nation that dropped the bomb, the Americans who dropped the bombs on the Japanese, have the most American bases outside of the USA are where? In Japan. These Japanese people worship the Edomites. So these Japanese, who are the Ammonites, worship these Caucasians, who are the Edomites, even after the destruction they've done to them and to many of their fellow brothers, to their Vietnamese, to the North Koreans, who they may think is not part of them, but they're either derived from the Ammonites or the Moabites, because they are the same people. So you have to ask yourself, only the Most High can put a spirit on a nation to accept that and to continue accepting that today. For them to literally worship the same people who had dropped 2 atomic bombs on them. So it says this, it says, for the indignation of the Most High is upon all nations, and his fury is upon all their armies. He has utterly destroyed them. He has delivered them to the slaughter. It says, verse 3, this is so weird, Isaiah chapter 34, verse 3. It says, their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled up together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. So we'll go back to verse 4. Just listen carefully. It says, and all the host of heavens shall be dissolved. Yeah? So all the host of heavens shall be dissolved. So we're talking about the satellites, the space stations, all these things that they have up amongst the stars, because when we look up at the stars, we're looking into the heavens. So this is what the scripture is speaking of. Yeah? So it's speaking of those things that man has amongst the stars, amongst the heavens that we see with our eyes, which are the stars and the atmosphere beyond the ozone layer. So all these things that they have out there, yeah, it says, all of the hosts of heaven, all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved. And the heavens, once again, when we're looking up into space, into the sky, to the stars, that's what we call the heavens. We look up to the heavens, that's what we call it when we look up there. So it says, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig